Yes, when installing fire alarm cables, either Type FPL or NPLF, in conduits that run vertically, you must adhere to the requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code, specifically Section 300.19, which addresses vertical supports. This section is crucial for ensuring the integrity and longevity of the cable installation. Vertical supports are necessary to prevent the weight of the cable from placing undue stress on the conductor's insulation and termination points. This stress can lead to a variety of problems, including insulation breakdown, conductor damage, and eventual system failure. The NEC provides guidelines on how frequently these supports must be installed and the type of support mechanisms that are acceptable. The selection of appropriate support methods depends on several factors, including firstly, the size and weight of the cable, secondly, the type and size of the conduit, and thirdly, the overall height of the vertical run. The most common methods for providing vertical support include the use of cable ties, clamps, and specially designed support fittings. These supports must be installed in a manner that does not damage the cable or its insulation. It is also important to consider the material compatibility of the support hardware with the cable and conduit. For example, using dissimilar metals can lead to corrosion over time, which can compromise the integrity of the support system. Section 300.19 of the NEC provides specific requirements for the spacing of vertical supports. These requirements are typically based on the size and type of cable being installed. For example, larger and heavier cables will require more frequent supports than smaller, lighter cables. The NEC also provides guidance on the types of materials that are acceptable for use as vertical supports. In general, supports must be made of materials that are resistant to corrosion and degradation, and that are capable of withstanding the weight of the cable. There are several different types of vertical support systems available on the market. One common type is the cable tie, which is a simple and inexpensive way to support cables in conduit. Cable ties are typically made of nylon or other durable materials, and they can be easily installed using a hand tool. Another type of vertical support system is the cable clamp. Cable clamps are typically made of metal or plastic, and they are designed to grip the cable securely and prevent it from slipping. Cable clamps are often used in applications where the cable is subject to vibration or other mechanical stresses. In addition to cable ties and cable clamps, there are also a number of specially designed support fittings available. These fittings are typically designed for use with specific types of conduit, and they can provide a more secure and reliable means of supporting cables. When selecting a vertical support system, it is important to consider the specific requirements of the installation. Factors to consider include firstly, the size and weight of the cable, secondly, the type and size of the conduit, thirdly, the overall height of the vertical run, and fourthly, the environmental conditions. It is also important to ensure that the support system is compatible with the cable and conduit materials. In addition to the requirements of the NEC, there may also be local building codes or regulations that apply to the installation of fire alarm cables. It is important to check with the local authorities to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable requirements. Proper installation of vertical supports is essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of a fire alarm system. By following the requirements of the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations, you can help to prevent cable damage, system failures, and other potential hazards. The NEC Section 300.19 is titled Supporting Conductors in Vertical Raceways. It provides detailed requirements for supporting conductors in vertical raceways. The purpose of these requirements is to prevent the weight of the conductors from placing undue stress on the conductors themselves, as well as on the termination points and equipment to which they are connected. This stress can lead to a variety of problems, including firstly, insulation breakdown, secondly, conductor damage, and thirdly, eventual system failure. The NEC specifies the maximum spacing between supports for different sizes and types of conductors. The support methods can vary, but they must be designed to adequately support the weight of the conductors without damaging them. Common support methods include the use of support bushings, clamping devices, and other approved methods. For example, for conductors now 4.0 or larger, the NEC typically requires supports at intervals not exceeding 100 feet. Smaller conductors may require more frequent supports. The specific requirements are outlined in Table 300.19 of the NEC. It is crucial to consult this table to determine the appropriate support spacing for the specific conductors being used in the installation. When installing fire alarm cables and vertical conduits, it is important to consider not only the NEC requirements but also the manufacturer's recommendations for the cables themselves. Some cable manufacturers may have specific recommendations for support spacing or methods that are more stringent than the NEC requirements. It is always best to follow the more stringent requirements to ensure the long-term reliability of the installation. In addition to the spacing requirements, the NEC also specifies the types of materials that are acceptable for use as vertical supports. In general, supports must be made of materials that are resistant to corrosion and degradation and that are capable of withstanding the weight of the conductors. Metal supports must be properly grounded to prevent electrical hazards. When installing vertical supports, it is important to ensure that the supports are securely attached to the conduit. The support should be installed in a manner that does not damage the conduit or the conductors. It is also important to ensure that the supports are accessible for inspection and maintenance. Regular inspections of vertical supports are important to identify any potential problems, such as loose supports, damaged conductors, or corrosion. Any problems should be corrected promptly to prevent system failures. In summary, the installation of fire alarm cables and vertical conduits requires careful attention to the requirements of NEC Section 300.19. By following these requirements and the manufacturer's recommendations, you can ensure the safe and reliable operation of the fire alarm system. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and any applicable local codes to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable requirements. Remember to consider factors such as firstly, cable size, secondly, cable weight, thirdly, conduit type, and fourthly, environmental conditions when selecting and installing vertical supports. This comprehensive approach will contribute to a safer and more reliable fire alarm system installation. Furthermore, ensure all personnel involved in the installation are properly trained and qualified to perform the work. This includes understanding the NEC requirements, proper installation techniques, and safety procedures. Proper training can help to prevent errors and ensure that the installation is performed correctly. Document the installation thoroughly, including the types of cables used, the support methods employed, and the spacing between supports. This documentation can be helpful for future inspections and maintenance. Keep a record of any inspections or maintenance performed on the vertical supports. This record can help to identify any potential problems early on and prevent system failures. By following these best practices, you can ensure the long-term reliability of the fire alarm system and protect lives and property. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay current with the latest edition. Changes to the NEC can affect the requirements for vertical supports, so it is important to be aware of these changes. There are many resources available to help you stay current with the NEC. These resources include firstly, training courses, secondly, seminars, and thirdly, publications. You can also consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer to ensure that your installation complies with all applicable requirements. The NEC is a complex document, but it is essential for ensuring the safe and reliable installation of electrical systems. By taking the time to understand the NEC requirements, you can help to prevent electrical hazards and protect lives and property. So, to reiterate, yes, Section 300.19 of the National Electrical Code absolutely applies when installing fire alarm cables, whether they are Type FPL or NPLF, within vertically run conduits. Ignoring this section can lead to significant safety risks and code violations. Adherence to 300.19 ensures the cables are properly supported, preventing strain and potential damage, ultimately contributing to the reliability and safety of the fire alarm system.